Welcome to our ranking of the top 30 most infamous criminals from the past 150 years. This list is based on the scale of their crimes, their global impact, and their lasting infamy. Let's get started. 30. John Wayne Gacy. Known as the Killer Clown, John Wayne Gacy committed 33 murders, hiding the bodies of his victims under his home. He worked as a children's party clown, making his crimes even more chilling. Gacy was captured in 1978. 29th. Richard Ramirez. Nicknamed the Night Stalker, Ramirez terrorized California with a string of brutal murders, assaults, and burglaries in the 1980s. His trial in 1985 became one of the most expensive in California's history. 28. Albert Fish. Also known as the Brooklyn Vampire, Albert Fish was a cannibal and serial killer. He shocked the world with his gruesome crimes and taunting letters to victims' families. He was captured in 1934. 27. Wayne Williams. Infamous for the Atlanta child murders, Wayne Williams was convicted for 2 murders but is suspected of killing over 20 young people. He was caught in 1981, marking a landmark in forensic science with hair and fiber evidence. 26. Bonnie and Clyde, romanticized as the Great Depression's criminal duo, Bonnie and Clyde committed numerous robberies and murders. Their gang was responsible for at least 13 deaths. They were killed in an ambush in 1934. 25. Peter Sutcliffe. The Yorkshire Ripper. Peter Sutcliffe murdered 13 women in the UK during the 1970s and early 1980s. He claimed to hear divine voices instructing him to kill and was captured in 1981. 24. Ed Gein. Ed Gein, the Butcher of Plainfield, shocked the world with his gruesome acts of grave robbing and crafting items from human remains. He inspired horror films like Psycho and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Gein was caught in 1957. 23rd. Andrei Chikatilo, dubbed the Butcher of Rostov, this Soviet serial killer murdered 52 women and children. His gruesome crimes and decade-long evasion of capture horrified the USSR. He was finally caught in 1990. 22nd. Gary Ridgway. Known as the Green River Killer, Ridgway was convicted of 49 murders and is suspected of over 70. His crimes spanned decades before his capture in 2001, making him the most prolific serial killer in U.S. history. 21st. John Dillinger, public enemy number 1. One during the Great Depression, Dillinger led a gang responsible for numerous bank robberies. His daring jail escapes and charisma made him a folk hero. Dillinger was killed by FBI agents in 1934. 20. Samuel Little. Samuel Little confessed to 93 murders with 60 confirmed, making him the most prolific serial killer in U.S. history. He targeted vulnerable women, evading justice for decades before his capture in 2012. 19. Mikhail Popkov, dubbed the Angarsk Maniac, this former Russian police officer killed over 78 women. He lured victims by offering rides and was caught in 2012 after years of evading suspicion. 18. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. El Chapo was the leader of Mexico's Sinaloa cartel, responsible for smuggling vast amounts of drugs worldwide. Known for his daring prison escapes, he was finally captured in 2016. 17. Golden State Killer. This elusive serial killer and rapist evaded capture for over 40 years. His identity was revealed in 2018 using DNA from genealogy databases. He committed dozens of crimes across California in the 1970s and 1980s. 16. Jason Barnum. Jason Barnum, also known as the Eyeball Tattoo Killer, made headlines for his shocking appearance and crimes against police officers. He was captured in 2012, and his case became a media sensation. 15. Nemesio El Mencho Oseguera. As the leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, El Mencho is one of the most powerful and violent drug lords today. He remains at large with his cartel known for extreme brutality. 14. Albert Anastasia. A mob boss and leader of Murder Inc., Anastasia orchestrated countless assassinations in New York. He was assassinated in 1957, marking the end of an era of organized crime dominance. 13. Frank Abagnale Jr. The master of fraud, Frank Abagnale Jr., posed as a pilot, doctor, and lawyer, forging checks worth millions. His life inspired the movie Catch Me If You Can. He was caught in 1969. 12. Pablo Escobar, leader of the Medellin cartel, controlled 80% of the global cocaine trade. His reign of terror included bombings and assassinations. Escobar was killed in a 1993 shootout. 11. Carlos Later, a co-founder of the Medellin cartel. Carlos Later used Norman's Cay as a hub for smuggling cocaine into the U.S. His arrest in 1987 marked a turning point in the war on drugs. 10. Al Capone, Chicago's infamous mob boss. Al Capone built a $100 million empire during Prohibition. He was finally taken down for tax evasion in 1931, ending his reign of crime. 9. John Dillinger, USA. John Dillinger, a notorious bank robber and murderer, led a gang responsible for at least 24 bank heists during the Great Depression. Known for his daring escapes and clever heists, he became a folk hero to some. His criminal career ended in 1934 when he was killed by FBI agents. 8. James Whitey Bulger. Boston mob boss James Whitey Bulger was involved in murder and racketeering while secretly working as an FBI informant. 7. Charles Manson orchestrated the infamous Manson family murders, including the brutal killing of actress Sharon Tate. A manipulative cult leader driven by apocalyptic beliefs, he was arrested in 1969 and became a symbol of evil in the 20th century. 6. Ted Bundy, one of America's most infamous serial killers, confessed to murdering over 30 victims. His charm and intelligence masked his horrific crimes. Bundy escaped from custody twice and represented himself in court before being captured for good in 1978. 5. Ociel Cardenas Guillen led the Gulf Cartel and founded the paramilitary group Los Zetas, turning them into one of Mexico's most feared criminal organizations. He was arrested in 2003, but his impact on the drug trade continues to this day. 4. Jack the Ripper terrorized London's East End in 1888, murdering at least 5 women. Despite extensive investigations, his identity remains a mystery. His taunting letters to the police have kept the world captivated for over a century. 3. Meyer Lansky, known as the mob's accountant, Meyer Lansky was a financial genius behind the mafia's operations. He laundered millions through casinos and other ventures. Despite his criminal empire, Lansky was never convicted of major crimes. 2. Ismael El Mayo Zambada, one of Mexico's most elusive cartel leaders, has stayed in the shadows while building a vast criminal empire. His operations and wealth surpass those of even El Chapo, yet he remains at large. 1. D.B. Cooper hijacked a plane in 1971, stole $200,000 in ransom, and disappeared after parachuting from the aircraft. Despite decades of investigation, his identity and fate remain unknown, making him one of the most enduring mysteries in FBI history. These are the 30 most wanted or notorious criminals from the past 150 years, individuals whose crimes shocked the world and left a lasting mark on history. Some were caught, some evaded justice, and others remain shrouded in mystery. What do you think about this ranking?